Ethan was an ordinary man who lived in a quiet town. His life was simple, almost boring. He worked at a small shop during the day and came home every evening to his old house. The only place he loved was his garage. It was messy, full of tools, broken machines, and half-finished projects. Ethan always thought his garage was his world, until the night it changed forever. It began with a sound. A heavy thud at his doorstep. Ethan stepped outside and found a strange wooden box. It was tall, sealed with ropes and marked with glowing symbols he had never seen before. He touched one of the symbols and it pulsed with light like a beating heart. His chest tightened. He had heard stories about the alien elders, powerful beings who ruled far beyond the stars. People said when the elders gave you a gift, it was not a blessing. It was a punishment. Ethan dragged the box into his garage. He stared at it under the yellow bulb, wondering if he should open it. The silence of the night pressed on him. His hands trembled, but curiosity was stronger than fear. With a sharp tool, he cut the ropes and pulled the lid. The air inside rushed out cold as winter. And then he saw her, a girl. She looked no older than 15, with pale skin that shimmered faintly under the light. Her eyes glowed like silver moons, and strange markings ran across her arms, moving like tiny rivers. She stepped out of the box slowly, her bare feet tapping against the cement floor of the garage. Ethan froze. His heart pounded in his chest. Who are you?" he whispered. The girl tilted her head, studying him as if he were the strange creature, not her. Then she spoke, her voice soft but clear. "I am your punishment." Ethan stumbled back. "Punishment? What does that mean?" She didn't answer. Instead, she walked around the garage, touching everything she saw. She ran her fingers over rusty wrenches, old screws, and broken engines. Wherever her hand passed, things seemed to change. A broken radio crackled with life. A rusty hammer gleamed as if brand new. The girl smiled faintly, but there was something eerie about it, like she knew more than she was saying. Ethan didn't know what to do. Part of him wanted to run, but his legs wouldn't move. "Look, I don't know what game this is. I don't need any punishment. Take your box and go." The girl turned and looked at him with her glowing eyes. "I cannot leave. The elders have sent me to you. I belong here now." Her words made no sense, yet they sent a chill down his spine. Why would powerful alien elders send a strange girl to a man like him? What did they want from him? The night dragged on as the girl continued to explore. She stacked tools into shapes that looked like towers. She pressed her hand against his old car and the engine gave a low hum, even though there was no key inside. Ethan's garage, once ordinary and familiar, was turning into something alien. He tried to stop her. "Don't touch that. You'll break it." But when he pulled her hand away, he felt a shock of energy run through his arm like electricity. The girl's eyes flashed. "Do not stop me. I am here for a reason." Ethan swallowed hard. "What reason?" The girl paused. Her face, which looked young and innocent, turned serious. "Because they are watching us." The words hit Ethan like a hammer. He looked around the garage, half expecting to see hidden cameras or shadows moving in the corners. But there was nothing. Only the sound of the buzzing bulb and the strange hum of his car engine. He felt trapped. He wanted answers, but fear held his voice. Who were they? And why was this girl turning his life upside down? As the night grew colder, Ethan realized he was no longer alone in his garage. His home was no longer safe. The so-called gift from the alien elders had already started its punishment. A girl who did not belong to this world had been placed in his care. And outside, somewhere beyond the stars, eyes were watching. The next morning, Ethan hoped it had all been a dream. He thought maybe the strange box, the glowing girl, and her chilling words were just tricks of his tired mind. But when he opened the garage door, the truth stood in front of him. The girl was still there. She was sitting calmly on the floor, arranging his nuts, bolts, and screws into circles that glowed faintly with light. Ethan's jaw tightened. "You're still here?" The girl looked up with those silver eyes that seemed to see through him. "I told you. I cannot leave. The elders sent me." Ethan rubbed his forehead, already feeling the headache of dealing with her. "Fine, but you can't stay here. This is my garage, not a playground." But the girl wasn't listening. She stood up and moved toward his old car again. Her hands hovered above the hood and the metal began to shake. Sparks danced across the surface, tiny bolts of light that buzzed in the air. The engine roared to life with no key, no fuel. The sound echoed through the quiet street, rattling windows. Ethan's neighbors peeked out from behind their curtains. Panic rushed through him. Stop it, people will hear, he hissed. The girl tilted her head. They already hear. They already watch. Her words sent a cold shiver down his spine. He grabbed her shoulders, trying to pull her back, but her body burned with strange energy. It wasn't fire, but something alive, something electric. His hands tingled as if he had touched lightning. He stumbled away, his heart pounding. The car engine finally died down, leaving the garage in silence again. But the silence did not last. Tools clattered from shelves, wires hissed, and light bulbs flickered. The entire garage seemed to pulse like it was breathing. Ethan pressed himself against the wall. What are you doing to my garage? The girl didn't look guilty. She looked focused. I am rearranging it. This place must change. Change into what? He asked, his voice sharp. Her eyes glowed brighter. Into what it is meant to be. That answer made no sense, but Ethan could already see it happening. The mess of tools and junk was no longer random. His shelves were rearranged into strange patterns. Machines he had given up on fixing now hummed with hidden life. Even the cracks in the cement floor glowed faintly with symbols that had never been there before. Ethan's head spun. He thought of calling the police or maybe the military, but then he remembered the rumors. Whenever the elders were involved, the government looked the other way. Some said they worked together. Some said anyone who reported elder business simply disappeared. A sudden knock rattled his front door. Ethan froze. His breath caught in his throat. Slowly he stepped out of the garage and walked through the hallway. The knocking grew louder. Open up, a rough voice called. Ethan's heart raced. He opened the door just a crack and his stomach sank. Two men stood outside in black suits. Their eyes were hidden behind dark glasses even though the morning sun was weak. A black van idled on the street behind them. We'd like to ask you a few questions, one of them said. Ethan forced a smile. About what? The man's lips curved slightly. About what you've received. The words cut like knives. They knew. Somehow they already knew. Ethan's mind screamed to slam the door, but his body didn't move. He mumbled, I don't know what you're talking about. The man leaned closer. We can make this easy, or very difficult. Where's the package? Behind Ethan, from inside the garage, came a sudden crash. Metal against cement. The sound of machines coming alive. Ethan's blood ran cold. The men raised their eyebrows. One of them reached into his coat. Sir, the man said calmly. Step aside. Before Ethan could reply, the girl's voice rang out clear and sharp from the garage. Do not let them in. The air grew heavy. The ground trembled faintly beneath Ethan's feet. He turned to look and his breath caught. His car, his old useless car, had lifted several inches off the ground, glowing with strange blue light. The girl stood beside it, her eyes burning bright, her small hands raised like she was holding the entire garage in her control. The men outside tensed. One spoke quickly into a small device hidden in his sleeve. The other reached again inside his coat. His hand tightening around something, Ethan slammed the door shut, his chest heaving. He leaned against it, sweat rolling down his face. From outside, fists pounded against the wood. Open up! He turned back toward the garage. The girl looked at him with eyes full of warning. If they take me, she said, her voice steady, the elders will punish you. And not only you, all of humanity. Ethan stood frozen, torn between fear and confusion. He had no idea how his quiet life had become this nightmare. But one thing was certain. His garage was no longer his own. And whatever chaos had begun, it was only the start. The pounding on the door finally stopped. Silence returned, but it was not the peaceful kind. It was the heavy silence of danger waiting just outside. Ethan stood with his back pressed against the door, his breath uneven, his mind racing. The girl was still in the garage, her silver eyes glowing, her hands resting lightly on the hood of the car. The old vehicle floated a few inches above the ground, humming softly like it had a heartbeat. Ethan forced himself to move. He stepped closer, his voice sharp. What are you doing to my car? The girl's gaze never wavered. I am waking it up, Ethan frowned. Waking it up? It's a machine. It doesn't sleep. Her head tilted slightly, her long hair falling across her face. Not to you, but to me it is alive. It remembers what it once was and what it must become again. The words made no sense, but Ethan felt the truth in them. His car, a broken piece of junk he had spent years trying to fix, was no longer just a car. Strange patterns glowed across its metal, like veins of blue light crawling under the surface. Ethan swallowed hard. Why me? Why here? Out of all the people in the world, why did they send you to my garage? The girl's expression grew dark. Because the elders punish not only for mistakes, but for curiosity. Ethan blinked. What does that mean? She looked at him with eyes that seemed older than time. You asked questions. You searched for things you were not meant to find. You tinkered with broken machines, hoping to discover something new. The elders noticed. So they gave me to you. Ethan's stomach sank. He thought of all those nights when he stayed up late in the garage, trying to make his useless inventions work. He remembered reading old articles about alien technology, dreaming of unlocking their secrets. Was this his punishment? For simply wanting to know more? He shook his head. That's insane. I'm just a man. I don't matter to them. But the girl stepped closer, her small frame glowing faintly in the dim light. You matter more than you think. Before Ethan could argue, the shelves in the garage rattled. A heavy toolbox fell to the floor with a loud clang. Then another. It wasn't random. The tools were sliding, shifting, arranging themselves into strange patterns across the ground. Bolts and screws rolled into circles. Hammers stood upright, wires stretched out into glowing lines. Ethan backed away, fear crawling up his spine. What's happening? The girl lowered her hands. The garage is remembering too. His voice trembled. Garages don't remember. Her silver eyes locked on his. This one does now. Ethan wanted to deny it, but he couldn't. The air itself felt alive, buzzing with energy. The garage smelled of metal and ozone like a thunderstorm trapped indoors. He realized then that his simple workshop was turning into something else, something alien. Suddenly, the girl crouched low and pressed her palm flat against the cement floor. Blue lines spread out from her touch, racing like lightning cracks. The ground beneath Ethan shook, and with a grinding sound, a panel of the floor slid open. Ethan gasped. Beneath the garage was a hidden space, dark and deep. Cold air rushed out, carrying the smell of stone and something ancient. He stumbled forward, staring into the hole. What is that? The girl's voice was calm, almost too calm. What they buried long ago. Ethan's heart hammered. Who buried it? The elders. She paused, her face unreadable. They do not want humans to find it? That is why they sent me. Ethan leaned over, peering into the shadowed chamber below. Strange objects glimmered faintly. Metal shapes half buried in dust. Machines that looked too advanced to belong on Earth. He could see curved plates of silver, glowing shards, and what looked like a massive sphere the size of a man. He pulled back, shaking his head. This is impossible. How could this be under my garage? I've lived here for years. The girl stood, her eyes never leaving the hole. It has been here longer than you. Longer than your town. Longer than your world remembers. Ethan's throat went dry. He wanted to run, but his legs wouldn't obey. His whole body was caught between fear and awe. Why show me this? He asked. Her answer was a whisper. Because you must choose. If you help me awaken what lies below, you will share my punishment. But if you refuse, the elders will make your punishment worse. The words twisted inside him like knives. He stared at the glowing chamber, at the alien machines waiting in the dark. And he realized something horrifying. This wasn't just about his garage anymore. This was about the entire world and the so-called punishment gift. The girl who had turned his life upside down was only the beginning of a secret that could either save humanity or destroy it. Ethan hardly slept that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the glowing chamber beneath his garage, filled with alien machines that should not exist on Earth. He saw the girl's silver eyes watching him, calm and steady as if she already knew what would happen next. The thought of it all pressed heavy on his chest. He wanted to believe it was a nightmare, but the hum of his half-floating car and the faint glow from the floor told him it was real. By dawn, he staggered out of the garage, hoping for some fresh air. The street was quiet, too quiet. He noticed the same black van from the night before parked further down the road. Its windows were tinted dark, hiding whoever sat inside. Ethan's stomach twisted. He turned back toward the garage. The girl was already awake, crouched near the open panel in the floor. Her hands traced the glowing lines like she was reading a language he couldn't understand. Ethan marched over. You need to stop this, he whispered harshly. People are watching. They know something's going on here. She didn't even look up. Of course they are watching. They have always been watching. His skin prickled. What do you mean? Finally, her silver eyes lifted to his. Not just the men outside. Not just the governments. The elders, their eyes reach everywhere. They want to see what you will do with me, and with what lies beneath. Ethan's heart thudded. Then why send those men in suits? Are they with the elders? The girl's gaze darkened. They are servants, pawns. They believe they act for themselves, but the elders pull their strings. Before Ethan could reply, a sharp noise cut through the air, a low hum, followed by a streak of light across the sky. He looked up and froze. High above the town, 3 dark shapes moved slowly through the clouds. They weren't planes. They were too smooth, too silent, too otherworldly. Ethan's mouth went dry. Are those? Yes, the girl said softly. The Watchers. The word made Ethan's blood run cold. He had heard whispers about them in late-night forums, the kind of stories people laughed at but secretly feared. Ships that appeared when someone angered the elders. Shadows that circled in the sky until their task was complete. The black van down the street came alive. The engine roared and the doors swung open. 2 men in suits stepped out, holding devices that glowed faintly blue. Ethan backed away instinctively. They weren't holding guns, but something worse, alien tools made for control. Stay inside, one of them barked, his voice carrying down the street. This is official business. Ethan's chest tightened. His instincts screamed to obey, but the girl stepped forward, her small figure unafraid. If they take me, she said calmly, you will never see the truth beneath your feet again. They will bury it and they will bury you with it. The men marched closer. Ethan's mind raced. He wasn't a fighter. He wasn't a hero. He was just a man with a broken garage and a stranger living inside it. But something about the girl's words lit a spark in him. If she was right, if what she showed him was real, then humanity's future could depend on what happened here. The men reached the driveway. One raised his glowing device. Step aside, sir. This doesn't concern you. Ethan's voice cracked. It does concern me. This is my house. My garage. The man's face hardened. Not anymore. Before Ethan could respond, the garage shook violently. Light burst from the open panel in the floor, bright enough to blind. A deep humming rose from below like a giant machine waking from sleep. The girl raised her arms, her markings blazing like fire. The men stumbled back, shielding their eyes. Control it, one shouted, pressing buttons on his device. A beam of blue light shot toward the girl, but before it could touch her, Ethan threw himself in the way. The beam struck him in the chest, burning cold like ice and fire mixed. He cried out, collapsing to the ground. Through blurred vision, he saw the girl kneel beside him. Her hand pressed to his chest and the pain faded almost instantly. Energy flowed from her into him, steady and strong. She whispered, "Do not be afraid. They cannot harm you while I am here." Ethan gasped for air. What are you?" Her silver eyes softened. "Your punishment. Your test, and maybe your only chance." The Watcher ships above rumbled, their shadows growing larger across the street. The men in suits regrouped, shouting into their devices. The neighbors peeked out from their windows, some already recording with shaky hands. Ethan realized then that his quiet life was gone forever. His garage was no longer just a place for tools and broken dreams. It was a battlefield. A secret war had arrived on his doorstep, and he was caught in the middle. The girl stood tall beside him, her glowing eyes locked on the sky. "The Watchers will not leave," she said. "Not until they know if you will betray me or protect me." Ethan's body shook, not just from fear but from the weight of choice. He knew every move from now on would be watched, by men, by ships, and by the elders themselves. And deep inside, he felt it. The punishment was only getting started. Ethan had never been a brave man, but the moment he saw the Watcher ships hovering above his town, something inside him changed. Fear was still there, pounding in his chest, but now it mixed with a sharp urgency. He could no longer pretend this was not happening. The elders had chosen him, and the girl had turned his garage into a magnet for danger. If he stayed, the men outside would drag them both away. If he left, he had no idea what waited. The girl seemed calm, too calm. She stood near the glowing car, her silver eyes reflecting the blue light. "We cannot stay," she said softly. "They will bring more, and when they do, there will be no escape." Ethan shook his head, running his hand through his messy hair. "Escape? How? We're trapped. They've got vans, weapons, ships in the sky. What do we have? A broken car and a garage full of junk." Her gaze didn't waver. "Not broken, awakened. Before Ethan could argue, she placed her small hand on the hood of the car. The engine roared to life, louder than it ever had before. The entire vehicle shook, then slowly lifted off the ground. Ethan stumbled back, eyes wide. "No," he whispered, "no way. That's impossible." The car hovered 3 feet above the cement, its headlights blazing with strange light. The girl opened the passenger door as if it weighed nothing. "We leave now, or we are caught." Ethan stood frozen, his mind screaming in disbelief. Flying cars, glowing children, alien punishments, it was too much. But then the sound of boots pounded outside. The men were returning, and they weren't alone. More vans pulled up on the street, their doors sliding open. Ethan glimpsed armored figures stepping out, carrying devices that hummed with deadly energy. His fear broke. He ran to the car, sliding into the driver's seat. His hands gripped the wheel. "I don't even know how to fly this thing." The girl slipped into the seat beside him. "You don't need to. It knows you." The words made no sense, but the car lurched forward before Ethan could reply. With a violent surge, it shot through the garage door, splintering wood and scattering tools.
Ethan yelped, gripping the wheel tight as the car soared over the driveway.
The armored men dove aside, shouting into their radios. Then the car lifted higher. The ground fell away. Houses, streets, and panicked neighbors shrank beneath them. Ethan's stomach twisted, his breath stuck in his throat. This isn't real. This isn't real. But it was. They were flying. The girl looked out the window calmly. "The watchers will follow. We must move fast." Ethan's knuckles turned white on the wheel.
"Where do I even go?"
"Anywhere," she said, "as long as it is away from here." Behind them, a low rumble shook the air. Ethan glanced in the mirror and nearly lost his breath. The black ships had noticed. They glided lower, their dark forms cutting through the clouds. Streams of light pulsed from their undersides, scanning the town. One beam locked onto them, and the car jolted violently. Ethan cursed. "They've got us." The girl placed her hand over his. A surge of energy ran through him, steadying his grip. "Do not fear. Trust it." The car responded like it had a mind of its own. It tilted sharply, swerving away from the beam. Ethan's body slammed against the seat, his heart hammering. He barely kept control. But somehow the car avoided the light and shot forward faster, breaking through the clouds. For a moment they were above the world. The town below disappeared in a sea of rooftops and fields. The ships loomed behind, but the car streaked ahead with unnatural speed. Ethan gasped for breath. "This is insane. We can't outrun them forever." The girl's voice was steady. "We don't need forever. We need only until nightfall." Ethan glanced at her. "Why nightfall?" Her eyes glowed brighter, almost blinding. "Because then the stars will hide us." The word sent a chill down his spine. Hide them from what? From who? He didn't dare ask. The car dipped lower, weaving through the edges of the forest. Trees blurred beneath them. The wind howled through the broken windows. Ethan's body shook with adrenaline, but slowly he realized something shocking. The car was responding to him. When he thought about turning, it turned. When he braced for speed, it surged forward. It was as if the machine was alive, linked to his own mind. And the girl, sitting calmly beside him, watched with a faint smile. "Now you see, this is not punishment alone. It is test. You are not only running, you are proving." "Proving what?" Ethan demanded, his voice ragged. Her answer was soft but chilling. "Whether your kind deserves to rise or to fall." Behind them, the Watcher ships still followed, their shadows dark against the morning sky. But Ethan's car, once broken and useless, now carried him on wings of alien power. For the first time, he felt something stronger than fear. He felt the weight of choice. The escape had only begun. That night, Ethan dreamed, but it did not feel like an ordinary dream. It was heavy, thick, almost real. He floated in endless darkness, the kind that pressed against his skin and filled his lungs. Then slowly shapes appeared. Towering figures with glowing eyes, tall and alien, their forms shifting like smoke. They surrounded him in a perfect circle. Ethan's heart pounded. He knew at once who they were. The Elders. Their voices rose together, not spoken but thundered directly into his mind. "Human, you have touched what is forbidden. You meddled with what was not yours. For this you were given punishment." Ethan tried to speak, but no words left his mouth. He felt small, fragile, like a child scolded by gods. The circle of elders shifted, and in the center appeared the girl. She stood barefoot, her glowing eyes softer than theirs, Her markings blazed across her skin, and yet she looked no older than a child lost in a storm. She is the punishment, the elders said together, and she is the test. Ethan finally found his voice, though it shook. Why her? She's just a girl. Why send her to me? The air trembled with their answer. She is not only a girl. She is a weapon. A seed of what your world could become. You were chosen to decide how she will grow. In your hands lies mercy or destruction. The words struck him like lightning. He shook his head. I'm no one. I'm not special. Why me? The elders' voices deepened, shaking the void. Because you asked. Because you wondered. Because you dared to dream of what was beyond your reach. Humanity has grown bold, and boldness must be tested. The girl's eyes met Ethan's. She did not speak, but her expression said everything. Fear, hope, sadness. She was not just a weapon. She was alive. And she was afraid of what choice he might make. The dream shifted. Ethan saw flashes of possible futures. He saw Earth burning under alien fire, cities crumbling, people screaming. The girl stood tall among the flames, her silver eyes blazing cold, her voice commanding ships to destroy. Then the vision changed. He saw Earth thriving, cities powered by glowing towers, humans and aliens working side by side. And there at the center of it, the same girl, but older, smiling, her silver eyes warm, guiding humanity into a golden age. Two futures, two paths, both tied to her. The elders' voices returned. This is the punishment, human. You cannot escape it. You must choose what she becomes. Protect her, or use her. Save her, or sacrifice her. The darkness collapsed and Ethan woke with a gasp. Sweat soaked his skin. His chest rose and fell like he had run for miles. The garage was quiet except for the hum of the strange car. The girl sat nearby, her small frame curled up, watching him. You saw them, she said softly. Ethan's throat was dry. It was real. She nodded once. The elder spoke to you. He rubbed his face with trembling hands. They said you're a weapon. Her eyes lowered. I am. The words cut deep. Ethan stared at her. You're just a child. Her silver gaze lifted back to his. I am both. Silence hung heavy. Ethan struggled to breathe. He thought of the visions, the world on fire, the world shining. Both futures carried her face, and somehow his choices would decide which one came true. His voice cracked. Why me? I can't carry something like this. I'm nobody. She moved closer, her glowing markings dimming as if to comfort him, because nobody is who they test the hardest. If you, an ordinary man, can choose wisely, then maybe your whole kind has hope. The weight of her words crushed him. He wanted to scream, to throw her out, to run until the elders forgot his name. But he knew it was too late. Once the elders set their eyes on you, there was no going back. The girl placed her small hand over his. It was warm, almost human. I do not want to be a weapon, she whispered. But I cannot stop what I was made to be. Only you can. Ethan's chest ached. He thought of his quiet life before all this, his simple garage, his broken machines. That world was gone. Now he stood at the edge of something much bigger. With the fate of humanity balanced on the smallest of hands, the hands of the girl sitting beside him. He looked into her eyes, and for the first time he saw not punishment, not weapon, but a child who wanted to be free. But the choice would not be simple. The Watchers still hunted them. The men in black suits would not stop, and the elders were watching every move. Ethan closed his eyes, his heart heavy. He knew one thing. The real punishment was not the girl herself. It was the decision he would have to make, and soon the time to choose would come. Ethan had run out of time. For days he and the girl had stayed one step ahead of the men in black and the Watcher ships, moving through forests, empty highways, and abandoned barns. The strange car carried them further each night, guided by a power Ethan barely understood. But the hunt never stopped. Everywhere they went, eyes followed, human and alien. Now at the edge of a deserted field, the chase was over. The sky burned with light as three massive ships descended, larger than anything Ethan had ever seen. Their shadows swallowed the land and the ground shook under their weight. The air was thick with a deep hum, the sound of the elders arriving. Ethan stood beside the girl. His heart pounded so hard it hurt. The girl's silver eyes glowed faintly, her small hand clutching his sleeve. It is time, she whispered. He swallowed, his throat dry. Time for what? To choose. A beam of white light split the field. From it, shapes appeared, tall, dark figures, their glowing eyes fixed on him. The elders, the same beings from his dream, but now standing before him in terrifying reality. Their voices spoke at once, shaking the air. Human, you have carried our gift. You have seen her power. Now decide. Will you return her to us, or will you claim her as your own? Ethan's chest tightened. He looked at the girl. She stood still, calm, but her hand trembled in his. She was trying to be brave, yet he saw the fear in her eyes. He stepped forward, his voice breaking. She's not a weapon. She's a child. You can't use her like this. The elder's eyes flared brighter. She was created to be more than a child. She was created to end worlds or save them. Your kind must prove if it deserves her. Ethan shook his head. You're testing the wrong person. I'm no leader. I'm nobody, the voices thundered. That is why you were chosen. The choice of the ordinary carries more truth than the choice of kings. Ethan felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. He thought of the visions, the cities burning, the cities thriving. Both futures depended on this moment. If he gave her back, maybe he would be safe. Maybe Earth would be safe for a time. But deep down he knew the elders would use her. They would twist her into something terrible. He looked at the girl again. She met his gaze, her voice soft but steady. If you send me back, I will not blame you. But if you keep me, you must protect me. Ethan's hands shook. Protect her? Against gods? Against armies? He was just a man with a garage. But when he saw her trembling hand, he realized the truth. She wasn't the punishment. The punishment was the choice itself. And maybe the elders never expected him to defy them. His jaw tightened. He turned to the towering figures. I won't give her to you. The air split with a deafening silence. The elders' eyes blazed like suns. Then you choose rebellion. You choose death. The ships above roared to life, their weapons glowing. The ground cracked beneath Ethan's feet. He knew he couldn't win, not against this. But he also knew he couldn't let her go. He pulled the girl close, shielding her with his body, even as the sky lit up with fire. Then something happened the elders did not expect. The girl's markings flared brighter than ever before, blinding white lines racing across her skin. She raised her hands and the air rippled like water. The hum of the ships faltered. Their weapons stuttered, failing to fire. The elders' forms flickered, their glowing eyes dimming. Her voice rang out, not soft but powerful, echoing across the field. I am not your weapon. I am not your punishment. I choose. A wave of energy burst outward, knocking the elders back, shaking the very sky. The ships above cracked like glass, pieces breaking away into the clouds. The towering figures shrieked as their forms dissolved, vanishing into the light. When it was over, silence returned. The field was empty except for Ethan and the girl. The sky cleared, leaving only stars above. Ethan stared at her, breathless. What did you do? She lowered her hands, her glow fading until only her silver eyes remained. I ended the test. Ethan shook his head in disbelief. But they're gone. Just like that? She gave a small smile, tired but real. For now. They will watch again. They always watch, but this time we chose together. He felt the weight lift from his chest, though fear still lingered. He knew the elders weren't truly gone. They would return. They always did. But for now he had done something no one else dared. He had defied them. The girl leaned against him, her small frame trembling with exhaustion. Ethan wrapped an arm around her. His life was no longer simple. His garage was gone, his old world shattered. But somehow in the ruins, something new had begun. As the stars shone brighter above, Ethan whispered, "Then we'll be ready next time." The girl closed her eyes and nodded, and somewhere, far beyond those stars, unseen eyes still watched. But the final choice was made.